So everybody talks about culture, but nobody understands what it is and nobody understands the power of it. One of the biggest decisions you will ever make is whether you're going to invent or not. So make sure you take that decision very seriously. You know, people ask me all the time, why is culture important? In fact, the CEOs that think culture is just the squishy beer and free pizza for lunch crowd, I have two words to say to you: United Airlines. Oh no, wait. Maybe you didn't understand or haven't heard about United Airlines, who think they have a policy problem every time they treat a passenger like a piece of meat, when actually they have a culture problem. Look at what happened to Wells Fargo. I mean, they defrauded millions of customers just so they could make their bonuses. And the CEO of Wells Fargo's tried to reach for a policy problem. Let's retrain the sales force. Let's redefine our incentive programs. That wasn't the problem. The problem was and continues to be a culture that does not value employees, a culture that only values the number. Now, don't misunderstand me. I run a for-profit business and we gotta make a profit. But if that's all you care about, and if that's all your employees care about, you're gonna start doing bad things. You're gonna cook the books. All kinds of manner of bad things are gonna happen to your company. So culture is something you really have to pay a lot of attention to. Let me give you another one. Uber. They think they have a policy problem. They think they need to get new directors when they really do need to start rebuilding their culture. This is not easy. First of all, if you're going to rebuild your culture, you should make it a culture by design, not default. You have to decide what you want your culture to be. Second, it's a multi-year process. You don't just go out as a CEO and go, hey, all right, here's the kind of culture I want everybody to gather around. This is our new culture. And we'll see you in a year, we'll see how it's working out. That's not what you do. You have to build the planks, if you will, the foundations of what your culture ought to be, what you want it to be, and then you put in the policies and the practices and the leadership that believes in those values, which form the basis of culture, and will exercise and exhibit those values. That's the second thing you have to do. Third thing is reinforce it. When somebody does something that is consistent with the values of the company, give them a raise, give them a bonus, bring them in front of the employees, cheer them on, take a full-page ad out in the daily news. And you need to constantly reinforce so people understand this culture thing is real and it's important, and you can get fired if you don't exhibit the rules of the culture, if you will. You want to hire people who have the same kind of values that you want and that are consistent with your company. You want to promote people based on that, and if people don't want to come along with the program, you got to get rid of them. People ask me all the time, you know, why would somebody want to pay attention to culture, and more importantly, why don't they? Well, I'll tell you, it's hard. This is hard stuff. You can't decree a culture, you can't do a mandate for a culture, you can't make a CEO directive for a culture. It takes time, and it takes understanding of people, and it takes a lot more finesse, if you will, than just sort of putting the numbers out there, doing strategy plans, developing a product, because as I've said before, the technology in anything is easy. It's the people that are hard. And most companies don't deal with it because they don't know how. But what they do is they put out what I call bumper sticker values. They look good on a boardroom wall, they look good in an annual report, but that does not reflect what the real values of the company are. And most CEOs think, all I got to do is decree and put these bumper sticker values out and tell people I want them to be that, and everything will be okay. And it's just not that simple. And when I talk to CEOs about putting a program like this in place, and I say this is a 6 to 10 year process, they go, it can't be. I've got to have something done next year. Well, it just doesn't work that way. So at Miller, we put in the work, we put in the time, we very deliberately developed the kind of culture that we wanted to have. We put the values in place that we wanted to have. We hired people against those values. We promote people against those values, and we reinforce those values all the time. What you don't want, and what most Rust Belt manufacturers have, they have people who are more interested in the bowling score than they are in the company performance. When you think about the impact culture has had on my own company, let me just give you one good example. We have one number that everyone gets measured against. One, it's called profit. A couple of years ago, we were in danger of not making the year. Our year is a calendar year, and I'm walking through the factory on about December 16th, and a factory worker comes up to me and says, "Hi, I'm worried that we're not going to make the number this year. Is there something I can do to help us get there?" Now, how cool is that? A factory worker caring about the number, wondering about the number, and asking how he can make the number better. That's what a culture does for you. Take culture seriously. Make that job one of the CEO. Don't delegate that to the health and happiness department, because all they want is people to be happy. You need to make that a priority as a CEO, and you need to bring in some expert help to help you figure out how to do that and how to implement that. And if you want some help, just call me. I'd be happy to show you how we did it.